Okay, now for this assignment, what I want to do, I want to do something a little different because I'm not really into like the random breeds I created. So I'm going to recreate these. I'm going to redo these. I'm going to call edit breeds, and I'm going to say, you know what, I want to rename my zombies bunnies. And I want to rename Adams. Now, remember, we've already done work with Adams, so let's see what happens. Rename Adams Wolves. And rename the projectile. Actually, I'm going to create a new breed, and I'm going to call this Hunter. Okay, so I got a bunch of different breeds now. So I click on the little box to close this down. Now, here's the cool part. It updated it. Everything got updated. The world, I'm now creating, whoops, it kind of messed it up a little bit. In the wolves, I'm now creating, I created wolves instead of Adams. Okay, Adams makes a little bit more sense. Now, the first thing I want to do is I say, you know, I don't really like my wolves being, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I think I'm going to create my hunter next. All right, so let's create a hunter. All right, so I'm going to create, and of course, you should probably have fewer hunters than you have wolves. So I'm going to create a hunter, and so I'm going to create one, and then I'm going to pull down hunter. And the first thing I want to do things from his point of view. So I'm going to say, take the camera, and I want to scatter him because I don't want him to be in the center. I want him to be where he is. Now what that's going to do is now I'm going to see things from his perspective because I took the camera, which is kind of a cool trait. Now the other thing is I want to give him color and shape, but I'm very lazy. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. So I'm just going to take this. I'm going to put the schools, and I'm just going to click on that, and I'm going to get copy, paste. Whoops, paste again. And I'm going to drag this, and I now have created my hunter. Now, I think what I'm going to do here is I want my hunter to be a very specific color. So I'm going to make my hunter red. And I'm going to make all my wolves, I'm tired of the random color thing. I'm going to make them all, hey, let's go with brown for wolves. And I want to set his shape. His shape is going to be a pyramid. But what I want to do with him is I also want to affect his size so he's a little bit easy to see. So I'm going to go back to traits, and I'm going to go set my size to, let's go with, say, 5 and see what that does. All right, so what have we done? We've created wolves, we've created hunters. The hunter now has the camera, and he's going to be red. He's going to be a red, I don't want to be a red pyramid. I'll make him a red sphere. And he's going to be a size of 5. So let's see what that does. Run the code. Hit setup, and if we hit forever, you notice that my little wolves are running around like little wolflets as they're supposed to, and that I have a big red lump that's just sitting there not doing anything. Alright, so we've managed to create a new agent, and we've given them some characteristics, but those agents' characteristics are kind of boring. Alright, first thing I want to do is I want this guy to be able to move, but I want him to be able to move the way I want him to be able to move. Alright? I want him to go where I want. It's not like the wolves that are just like, you know, they're there as cannon fodder. I want my character to be able to do something. So let's try playing around with that. Let's try playing with the hunter's page. And I need him to do something when I hit the forever button too. So where should I go? Think about this for a minute. Where am I going? The interface button is where the forever button is. So when the forever is toggled, I want things to happen. All right, so what do I want to do? Well, I want to be able to do movement. Now, how can I do movement? Well, normally you do movement through using the keyboard controls. So what does the keyboard allow me to do? Well, it has two options, when a keyboard is held and when something is typed. Held is if I hold the key, it will keep on doing it over and over and over again, whatever I ask it to do. So that's good if I want to turn. When it's typed, all right, I want it to, if you hit it once, it'll do the thing, and then it'll do it again and do it again. But you notice that these guys have this weird kind of rounded like thing. So we have to figure out how we're going to control our hunter. Well, let's see what happens. Let's go to movement. Well, I can get him to move forward, but this still isn't really working all that well. All right. So now I need to figure out how I'm going to do that. How about logic? Oh, wait a minute. There we go. So if I hold, what am I going to hold? I'm going to hold the up arrow. Then what do? I move forward 1. All right, and I'm just going to delete this. Let's see what happens when we do this. So I'm going to hit run code, setup, forever, run code, setup, forever. And it looks like I've broken something. Isn't that interesting? So what's happened? In the world, I create one hunter, I take the camera, and I do all of this stuff. So something isn't working the way it's supposed to. And it was working before, so it means I probably did something I wasn't supposed to. When you hit the up button, move forward 1 when forever is toggled. Alright, so that looks like that's doing what it's supposed to. Let's check to make sure there's nothing that's not where it's supposed to be. Wolves, buddies, projectiles, the world. Let's try locking that back into place. We take the hunter takes the camera. I'm going to actually move this in front of that. Alright, and let's see how this works now. Run the code. I'm not getting an error message. Hit setup. Oh, that's interesting. The wolf is now, this guy is now acting different. He's acting on his own. Let's hit stop for error. He's still wandering around. So it looks like I've broken this a little bit. So I need to do a little bit of, let's hit the setup button. You notice the camera doesn't seem to be looking over his shoulder either. So there's something crazy here. There's something wrong with my hunter, and I'm not sure what I've done. So I'm going to have to play with it a little bit to see if I can figure out why he's doing what he's supposed to. He's not doing what he's supposed to. Okay, guys, let me show you what I did, because I was having a hard time getting this guy to work properly. What I did is I wasn't sure why it wasn't working, so what I did is I said, okay, it seemed to be revolving around the hunter was the problem, so I stopped creating the hunter, and that seemed to fix the problem. Alright, so now at least the wolves are doing what they were doing before. So this is how you spot. You notice that it did create a hunter, but that hunter is just like a box. So there has to be something going on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of this out, and I'm just going to create one hunter, and I'm going to stick him back in. And I'm going to keep him at the same level as the wolves. So now let's see what happens. Run code, setup. Alright, and that seems to really be creating some problems for me. It doesn't really like it. So for some reason it doesn't like this hunter. So I'm going to just delete the whole thing. Let's start over again. I'm going to go agent, create, one, hunter, and I'm going to set his color to red and see what happens when I do that. Run code, setup, forever. And I find it interesting that I've still got a white cube here. So I'm going to look at on the hunter's box. While forever is toggled, alright, so the hunter it's acting very strange. Delete everyone, create wolves, then create a hunter. That's very, very odd that this is working this way. Alright, so again, these things do happen, just to let you know. You get confused. Sometimes things don't work the way you expect them to happen. So, run code. And you notice that when I hit run code, everything stops except for the little box. It's just wandering around randomly, which he's not supposed to do. So I'm not sure why that is happening. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit remix. And I'm going to call this simulation 3. And again, sometimes when you have problems, you have to redo everything. And I'm going to go down here, and I'm actually going to take the world, and I'm going to delete the hunter. I'm going to delete everything off the hunter page, and I'm going to restart this from scratch, okay, just to see if we can figure out why we did this wrong, okay? So hit run code, setup, forever. Okay, they're wandering around, that's good. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the world and I'm going to create one hunter. I'm going to have him take the camera and I'm going to scatter him so he doesn't wind up in the middle and see what that does. Run code, setup. There, you notice you're looking over his shoulder forever. Alright, so that's good. So I now have my hunter working. Alright, now I want to make my hunter move. So what do? I go back into the hunter page and I'm going to have him, it's going to be a keyboard control. So I'm going to go, when the keyboard is, I'm going to go with when it's held, movement, move forward, and we're going to go with random motion. We're going to go with, we need to make this a forever thing, so it's an interface thing. While forever is toggled, you put in an if-then statement, which is logic. If the forward key, the up key, is held, you move forward 1. Now let's see what happens when we do this. Hopefully I've got this working around. Run code, setup, there we go, we're looking over his shoulder, forever. You notice these guys are moving around? Well, I hit the forward arrow and he moves forward. Alright, so that was kind of longer than I wanted it to be. So what you guys are going to do is now you guys want to have it do things when you do the other keyboard controls. Alright, so right now he's just moving forward. It's your job to figure out how to make him move where you want him to move. Okay, that's it for this part. Okay, I'm going to make you guys figure out how to do that on your own. I kept in the fact that I had a problem because I want you to understand that's how you solve problems. A lot of times you go back, you delete what you did, and you put in new stuff. So we're going to remix, and this one's going to be create aging with control, forward, sideways, back. Okay, so we've remixed this.